The well should have been dry. That was the first thing Ada noticed. The rope tied to its frame was new, clean hemp, barely weathered, looped around a post on a farm everyone in Silver Creek called worthless. She knelt in the frost and touched it. Somewhere below, water was moving. She was 19, and she owned nothing else in the world. Ada spent her days feeding linens through a laundry wringer until her shoulders ached, saving coins in a jar that never seemed to fill. Her parents were gone. The only steady warmth in her life came in letters from her grandfather, Emmett Whitlock, who lived alone in Blackfur Valley and always signed off the same way. "Keep your eyes open, Ada girl. The world hides more than it shows." He died quietly in January. Weeks later, a letter arrived from the county clerk. Emmett had left her 40 acres, a barn, a stone well, and a collapsed shed, land the town considered dirt cheap and useless. Tucked inside was a second note. In her grandfather's cramped hand, "Don't let them tell you what something is worth before you've looked at it yourself. Come to the farm. Look at the well first. Look carefully." Her boss scoffed when she mentioned it. Bad soil, no neighbors, a dead man's foolish dream. Ada said nothing. She packed her jar of coins and took the Friday coach before dawn. The farm looked exactly as ruined as promised, a caved-in shed, a silvered barn with loose boards, frozen mud where a garden might once have grown. But her grandfather had taught her never to look at anything carelessly. She checked the barn first, sturdy walls under tired paint. Someone had built this to last. Then she found the well and the rope that didn't belong. She studied the stonework the way he'd shown her, not what it looked like, but what it meant. One course of mortar was newer than the rest. Carved into a capstone was a small Mark II joined circles, the same symbol he used to seal his letters. When she pulled the rope, it didn't rise with water. It swung diagonally, striking wood against stone. A hidden door hinged flush into the shaft wall with a counterweighted lift plate behind it. Her grandfather hadn't buried treasure. He'd built a way in. She found the entrance a few feet off a stone slab that lifted on a hidden hinge, revealing steps cut into the earth and warm air rising from the dark. She lit her lantern and went down. What she found stopped her at the threshold, a full underground room, 20 feet across, shelved floor to ceiling with sealed jars of grain, tools, folded wool blankets, packets of seeds labeled in his careful hand. A hearth vented through a hidden rock chimney. A narrow spring ran along the back wall, filling the space with the quiet sound of moving water. In the corner sat a small timber cabin, a room within the room built for someone to actually live in. On a shelf, an envelope with her name on it. "Welcome home, Ada girl." He explained everything. The spring he'd found decades earlier while digging a root cellar, and the refuge he'd built around it slowly, every winter since, not for himself, but for whoever came after. "I could not give you a start in the world the easy way," he wrote, "so I built you one underground, and hoped you'd be brave enough to find it." She was. But a refuge wasn't a finished life. The barn roof was failing, the yard needed breaking for planting, and she had no one to help hold boards steady while she nailed them, and only a week before her job in town was gone for good. Pride had always been the thing that kept her upright. It had also kept her alone. Near the bottom of her grandfather's letter was a line she'd rushed past the first time. "Orrin Pratt knows the passage exists, not what's inside. He's agreed to help whoever comes to claim this place. Don't be too proud to ask." So she asked. She traded mornings stacking grain at Pratt's feed store for afternoons of his help repairing the barn, and within 2 weeks the roof held again, tight against the winter. She learned to read the property like her grandfather had read it, where the soil was rich, where the creek could serve her, which slope held good timber. She planted according to his margin notes, not the almanacs, because he'd learned the valley's real rhythm through years she hadn't lived. Rye first, everything else after. Standing in the barn one evening, watching amber light slant through the new boards, she understood what he'd actually left her. Not a shortcut. Not free money. A place that rewarded exactly the kind of attention he'd spent her whole childhood, teaching her the discipline of looking past a thing's surface before deciding what it's worth, and the humility to ask for help when the work outgrew her own two hands. The next morning she climbed the stone stairs into a valley gone white with the season's first snow. Below her the spring still ran, the hearth still held its warmth, and the shelves stood in their careful rows. For the first time in her life, Ada Whitlock wasn't asking the world for a place in it. She'd built one starting with a well everyone else had already decided wasn't worth a second look.